The United States has travel warnings on China, so if you're an American and you're thinking about coming to China, you just beware. Yes, sirree. I'm not freaking blind, guys. It's Gweilo style. I think it's Thursday. You could die. Yeah. Son of a bitch. Geez, you know. Oh yeah, because it goes on and on and on. For all you haters, there's something to chew on for the next couple of... Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. Yes, the United States government has travel warnings on mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, Xinjiang Autonomous Region, Tibet, and Tibet Autonomous Region in China. And you have to ask yourself why. They say there's a risk of being arbitrarily detained. Arbitrarily detained. Okay, there's a risk that you could get an exit ban. So once you're in the country, you can't leave. Scare tactics by the American government against their citizens because they don't want them to travel to China? Yes, probably. You know, that's just it's how they roll. What was that phrase that they used? Beware that the People's Republic of China will enforce local law. Well, and this is part of their travel warning to their citizens. And you got to ask yourself, why? Nice background, eh, guys? My God, this is Nanning City, a Tier 2 city. It's about 9 million people. Like, all of these apartments over here, all brand spanking new type thing. It's just, it's an amazing country. Anyway, why do you think the American government doesn't want their citizens to travel to China? For one thing, they don't want the Americans spending money in China because they figure China has enough money. China's taken so much from us poor Americans that we don't want to give them one red cent. One more penny. No, no, no. Do they still have pennies in America? I think they probably do. We don't in Canada, but that's me digressing again. Another reason is that they don't want Americans to come to China because they don't want them to know the truth about China. They want to have them sitting in their apartment or their little house with the white picket fence, listening to mainstream media, learning how bad China is, how polluted. There's 9 million people, guys. How polluted China is. They want their people to think that China is an oppressive dictatorship, that nobody has the right to do anything. And once they come over here and they start traveling around and having a beer on the street, and it's like 8:30 in the morning, so no beer for Gweilo this early in the day. But once the Americans come over and they actually see that China is quite the opposite of what it's portrayed in the mainstream media by the government-sponsored news channels of the West, the propaganda channels of the West. And they're really good at what they do. They've got most Americans thinking that China is a shithole. And they couldn't be further from the truth. So as an American comes over and they see that China is beautiful, the weather is good, the people are nice, the food is amazing, you know, the infrastructure is the best in the world, then they'd have to go back and say to their government, say, well, how come we can't have that? If we're such a rich country, why don't we have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed trains that float along? It's like, it's the most comfortable ride I think I've ever had in any form of transportation, counting airplanes and buses and cars, and I've driven in some pretty nice cars too. But this, you can float there's no jostling, there's no, it seems like you're not even moving, but you're going 350 kilometers an hour, and you can be 500 kilometers out of town in 2 hours, and you know what I mean, and that accounts for stops along the way. So when they see things like this, and they see that they could go on a subway, and the subways are clean, air conditioned, safe, inexpensive, and then they go back to the subway system. Not very many places in the United States have subway systems, mind you, but they come and they see these subway systems that were built 100 years ago, and they're basically homeless camps, and there's garbage everywhere, and it's expensive, and it's dirty, and it's dangerous. They say, well, why can't we have? I think my government has been lying to me. Not only that, but when Americans come over here and they see what China's really like, they go, oh, China's great. And then they go back and they tell their friends, and their friends that go, no way, and they way, you know what I mean? And so then another American comes over and visit, and they come and do the same thing, and pretty soon the jig's up, guys, and all of the Americans will know that China is not that shithole country that the American government is portraying it to be. It's actually an exotic paradise in some areas, with palm trees, nice big rivers, high rises, beautiful weather, good people. See, at night this place is packed full of people. I just did a video about on the street by where I live in Hojilu, where during the day it's sort of like this, but at night the people all come out, and then you get the American press saying, well, you know, the people don't have enough money to go out and play, and they take video like this that shows nobody on the street, and then what they do is they put that out with the propaganda news channels and say, well, you know, China's hurting financially, they're sucking the hind tit, you know, and stuff like this, when that again couldn't be anything further from the truth. So as Americans come over and spend money and see what it's really like, as they go back and tell their friends, as they ride on high-speed rail, as they go see the Great Wall of China, the tomb of the emperors, you know, the Forbidden City, they go to the South China Sea, they see that there's not pollution. Not like it was, but there are some places that still have pollution. We're not oblivious to that here in China. But when they see how nice China actually is, they're sort of they're taken back by it, because now they know that their government has been lying to them for the last 20-30 years. As China keeps its head down and just takes it on the chin and keeps working harder, as long as that world thinks that China is dystopian, that China is a shithole country, that China is someplace that they wouldn't want to be, that as China's making itself better, they've already surpassed the United States in infrastructure and purchasing power parity, GDP, and the whole 9 yards. But they're still at full tilt, and they're going forward, while the American government is sort of sitting back on their haunches, not doing anything, bad-mouthing China, as China gets better and the United States gets worse. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like the American government isn't working for the people, where the Chinese government is working for the people. And it's sort of sad to see, because the United States used to be a really good country. I lived there for a number of years, and you know, it was a better place than it is now. Another thing, as an American goes to China and they go out in the evening to the bar or to a restaurant and come home at, say, 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're walking through a city of 9 million people, and they see that it's super safe. And then they'll say to themselves, well, how come it's so super safe in China, this dystopian oppressed country, and I can't walk home alone at 1 o'clock in the morning through my own city in the United States? How come they have it like that and we don't? Then they say, well, where is all the homeless people? well, how come we have a bunch of homeless people and China doesn't? And where are all the tent cities? Where are all the drug addicts? Where are all the thieves? Where are all the... And they say, well, how come we have all of this violence and drugs and homelessness and just despair on the streets of the United States of America, and you come over to China and they don't have that? And then they go back to their country and they tell their friends, and their friends go, no way, and go away, you know what I mean? Like, so as the American government puts out these travel warnings against China, you have to ask yourself, why are they putting out these travel warnings? Is it because they don't want the citizens of the United States to see what China's really like? They want to sort of curb their enthusiasm for going to visit China as a tourist. Yes, they do, because they don't want the American population to see what it's really like here. And I think that's why videos like this are so important for people in the United States, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Spain, El Salvador, to wherever, to watch videos like this and understand that it's coming from experience. It's coming from a person that's lived in another 11 days, 12 days, no, 11 days, 10 days. Another 10 days I've lived in China off and on for 21 years. My God, it's, and you know what? I've watched this city grow. When I started coming here, none of these high-rises were here. Not one of them. They didn't have, they had a couple of high-rises down in the Landong area, but that was it. And it's not dangerous here because you won't have police coming and shooting people for practicing sword fighting in the parks here in China. Why? Because there's just no violence. There's no reason to. If somebody's seen with a sword, they're just practicing some martial art, and that's just the way it is. So don't be afraid to come to China. If you think that you're being lied to by your government, by your propaganda mainstream media, government propaganda mainstream media about China, then come and see for yourself. Spend a couple bucks, get a passport, get a visa, come and see, travel around, spend a month, and I guarantee you that you will come away with a different idea of what China is. You'll say, well, China is an amazing country. China is a rich country. China is a safe country. And go back and say to your government, why can't we be more like China? Yes, and that's another video on the banks of the Yangtze River here in Nanning, Guangxi Autonomous Region, southern China. An hour and a half from the South China Sea and an hour and a half from the Vietnam border. My God, I love it here. And that's another video from Gweilo 60. Like, comment, subscribe. Push that share button. Don't forget to resubscribe, hit the bell, and I'll leave you with this view.